So yesterday, like the last session, we have seen introduction to network, and on the top of network, we talk about two types of models. One of the model we have seen work group as well as domain, and in detail, we have seen some differences, like where we have work group network, where you have a domain network. So basically, work group and domain, this is nothing but it is like one of the category that you'll see on a network. Okay. So that means like whenever if you want to make a local area network, so this local area network either you have in terms of work group or you may have in terms of domain. Okay. So if you connect to more devices, we represent that is actually as a network. So that network you can create as a work group or you may have a network as a domain. Okay. So practically today I'm going to show you like how to make work group network and how do we make a domain network. Okay. So today maximum we try to see the practical part. So begin with, let's see first scenario for the work group. How do we make work group network? So when you want to make a network in your home, means if you're talking about like a small network just only for sharing to access the resources. So simply what we need to do, you have to just connect all the machines together, means you have to connect the computers by cable. Let me see. Yeah, this is my work group diagram. So regarding work group, what you have to do, very simple. So from the market, you can purchase switch or hub. And on the top of that, you have to connect all the devices. You have to give the proper name, just give proper IP. Then by default, this network, we call it as network. Nothing we need to do. Okay. That means we need to have a switch. On the top of switch, just connect computers. So this computer you have to connect physically. So the physical connectivity given with the help of cables. Apart from physical connectivity, you also require the IP address. Okay. So in till now, we just talk about only the theoretical part. Okay. So now I'm going to show you practically how we create a work group. Okay. So even yesterday, we also talked about some VMware concept. Okay. So what we have done on the top of VMware, we actually configure 3 virtual machines. So I configure here one of the virtual machine I configure as a server and 2 virtual machine I configure as a Windows 10 client. Okay. You may have multiple if you have very good machine. Okay. Now, so I make a full screen. So remember, even one of the time we even discuss about the installation of server operating system. Okay. So you have a device. This is your machine. On the top of a device, suppose you install a new and fresh server, maybe 2016, 2012, or it may be like 2019. Okay. So when you install a server operating system, so what happened here? So the first screen comes to you like this. Okay. So once you install the server operating system, this will be our first screen. Okay. And here you can see, so it asking about the login. So regarding login again, we have a username here, administrator, and he's asking to set up a password. Okay. So only first time when you log in, you have to remember, you have to give a password. Okay. So the first thing you need to remember, whenever you install Windows operating system, by default 2 accounts are created. One of the account we call it as administrator, and one of the account we call it as guest. So that means we have 2 accounts. One is called administrator, one is called guest, irrespective of any Windows. Means if you are installing Windows 10, if you are installing Windows 7, if you install server, if you install client. So when you install any Windows operating system, by default, these 2 accounts are created. So these are 2 accounts, we call it as built-in accounts. Okay. Now, when you start using server, compulsory we have to use admin account. Okay. So to this account, he's asking to set up a password. And later, whenever you want to log in, whenever you perform tasks, whenever you try to perform anything on a machine, means especially like when you want to do anything on a server operating system, so that server operating system, we need to give the password which I'm going to give now. Okay. Now let me give a password, and maybe coming session I'll try to show you more in detail regarding user account. We have a separate topic for that. Okay. So let me give a password. So how many characters and what characters we use. So coming session in detail we discuss. Okay. So today just give a password and log in. Okay. So I press Alt Control Del. And remember, if you are using a virtual machine, suppose if you want to do by keyboard, so here written like Control Alt Delete. Okay. So if you have virtual machine, you have to press Control Alt Insert. Okay. So here you have to press Insert. If you are using a keyboard from your laptop, or if you are keeping, if you are using anything externally, you have to use Insert button. Okay. If you press Delete, what happened here? Let's say if I press Delete, so for me it is going to log out the main machine. It will not affect on the virtual machine. So to log into virtual machine, suppose if you want to directly use keyboard, you can press Alt Control Insert, or else you just go here and the option is available. Just click this three buttons, directly it will prompt you. So here you give a password, whatever you have given, then log in. Okay. So this is the first time we log into server. Okay. So till now, you may have idea about like Windows 10 or the client operating system. Let's see what about the server here. Okay. So first time when you log in, so it will take only some of the time so that it is going to prepare all the settings. Now, and one more thing you remember, but because we'll be using a virtual machine. Okay. So first time when you install virtual machine, you can see the screen is somewhat half screen. Okay, it is not like a big. Means I want to say here. So I want a complete full screen on my laptop, which I'm using here. Okay. So remember, when you install any virtual machine, so automatically when you log in first time, you will be getting tools which is by default is going to install. Okay. If the tools are not by default installed, you can install manually. Okay. How we can do that? Okay. So to do that, what I can do now, I can go the settings of VMware. Here you can see, just right click on this virtual machine, whatever the name you have given, right click, and here you can see one option is available. You can see that option, install VMware tool. So if you click this option, what it will do, it will try to install the VMware tool. So once the tool installed, automatically you can see the screen automatically become it will be fit to our screen. Okay, so let me do that. So I right click and here I'll say install VMware tool. Now I can open my computer. So my computer, and here you have virtual DVD-ROM. You can double click. Now the tool will be installed and you will be getting that a full screen. So remember, this will be automatically done when you install a virtual machine. If not, you can do like this. The reason why I'm showing this, to get a full screen. If the screen is small, sometimes you cannot able to see some of the options. Come on. So it's taking time here. You get a pop-up here. So welcome to the installation wizard for VMware tool. So here you can go next, and we go with the typical option. So default, whatever you have, just select, go with this option, install. Okay. So the reason like why install, so right now you can see the my screen is a half screen. Once the installation done, automatically the screen will be fit to my screen. Come on. Now you can see my screen is fit to my laptop. So once you done this installation, it will ask you to restart. So if you have time, restart. Otherwise, you can even restart later. No problem. Okay, understand this? The same thing like the client which you are using. If the client also having the same small screen, you can also install the same thing. Okay. The client is also having the same small screen. You can also do that. Okay. So this is automatically done. And this client also having my full screen. Now coming to the again same thing like, so when you log on to server for the first time, there are some there are some configuration we need to do, the basic part. Then what services we are going to inform, we'll see in detail. Okay, so when you say finish, it will ask you to restart, but right now I don't want. Maybe later I'll be restarting it. Okay, so this is a server. Okay, now first of all, how to differentiate, is it a server operating system as well as a client operating system? Okay, so whenever Microsoft introduce any operating system, it may be a server, it may be a client. So you can see this is called a desktop screen. On the top of desktop, you will see there will be some default wallpaper. Okay. The same thing if you see a Windows 10, on Windows 10 also it will look like a same kind of wallpaper. Okay. So normally it is not easy to, you cannot say easily like this is a server or this is client. unless until you see certain options. Okay. So the first method where you can see whether it's a server or whether it's a client, we can go the computer property. So you just open my computer and you can go the properties of my computer. You can able to see whether the operating system is a client operating system or server operating system. Okay. So you just right click on computer and go properties. This is Windows 10. On Windows 10, we selected the edition Windows 10 Pro. And you can see now, if instead of that, if I go, you can see the wallpaper. Instead of that, if I go to my server, even for server also, it looks like same wallpaper. And here, if I go the properties, so it's going to show you. Now, this is 2016 server. Okay. On 2016, we installed standard edition. So by seeing background, you cannot differentiate whether this is 2050 server or a Windows 10 operating system. Okay. But before 16, when Microsoft introduced 2012, 2008, now on the screen directly you get we actually have one name like Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2008. So on the desktop only directly you got a name. But from 16, Microsoft has made some changes. Okay. Now, so this is our Windows. So when you press Windows button from the keyboard, now we'll be getting this screen. So this screen we call it as a start menu. Okay. So when Microsoft introduced any operating system, the first changes all the time Microsoft made to the start menu. Okay. So this is the menu where you can see all the icons, all the options for your Windows operating system. Okay. If you install any application, if you install any services, if you want to do anything in your machine, then you can go with the help of this screen. So this is, we call it as a start menu. Okay. So in 2012, the start menu we have completely tiled. Okay. So I'll show you like how we have a start menu for 2012. Just to understand, we are not learning about 2012. Okay. If I show you one picture, so easily you can understand that. So online. So it was the lab manual for 2012, which I used to teach some years ago. Okay. I want to show the start menu. You can. So when you install 2012, so by default we have a menu like this. When you press start button, you get only the tile. It was in 2012. Okay. So after 2012, when Microsoft introduced 2016 start menu we have like this. Okay, some changes. Okay, and here not only we have tiles, we also have some kind of grid menu, means all the options are available. Okay, so one of the problems that we face on 2012. So whenever if you install something, if you want to open something again, here by default you never have any option. Okay, so when you go down, you will be having one option. Okay, when you see this screen, so here one of the options you will be having like all apps. So when you click all apps, then you can see multiple options. Okay, but in 2016, no need to do anything here. So just we can go start button. You have all the options. So here we have Windows Administrative Tools. We have PowerShell option, all the accessories option. You can go and you can able to use all the options. Okay. So this is my server operating system. Okay. So again, after some time, even I'll try to show you some more differences. But as of now, as I told you, like I want to do the practical for workgroup network. Okay. So regarding workgroup, let's see. First, I'll show you the scenario. Based on the scenario, we can able to do the lab for workgroup. Okay. So if you want to make a small network without Active Directory, without services, then what we can do? First thing, like we need to have a switch. On the top of switch, you need to connect computers. So I'll be having three computers today. So all these computers we have to connect by cable. So anyhow, in VMware, we don't require physical connectivity because if you're doing practical on physical computer, then compulsory you require a switch. From switch you need to connect. But in my case, what we are doing now, we are using VMware. On the top of VMware, we already have a virtual machine. So this virtual machine, we don't require any physical connectivity, but because these are virtually connected. Only you have to configure the proper name, proper IP. Okay. Now, first we need to decide the name of this virtual machine. So let's say the first computer I'll be giving the name DC1. The second computer I'll go and I'll try to give a name of this machine like PC2. Third machine I'll try to give a computer name of PC3. Okay. So like this, you can put the proper name. As well as the next thing, very important is the IP address. Okay. So regarding IP, like in the last session we already discussed. So whenever you want to give IP address, so IP address you can give maybe from class A, you can give maybe from a class B. So when you use class A IP address, condition you have to remember, 1 network portion, 3 host portion. Okay. Instead of class A, suppose if you use class B. Okay. So you need to remember the condition, 2 network portion and 2 host portion. Instead of class B, suppose if you are using class C, then you have to remember the condition here. First 3 portion network and the last portion will be host. Okay. And remember, it is not compulsory all the time to use only class A or maybe class B or class C. And don't make habit to use only one particular category. Sometimes use class A, sometimes class B, or sometimes class C. Okay. So for workgroup network, in my case, what I'll be doing, first I'll try to use class C IP. Okay. Then when I make domain network, I'll go with the class A, so that we can able to change our scenario. Okay. So class C, last time even we also discussed about some free IPs. So if you use class C, I can use a range of 192, 168, 0 dot anything to 255 or 255. So that means all the IPs are free. So here I'll be using IP address 1.1. The second computer I'll give IP address 192.168.1.2. And the third machine I'll be giving IP address 192.168.1.3. Okay. So like this, you can start giving all the IPs. If you have hundreds of machines, you can start giving all the IP address in a serial order, like 1, 2, 3. But make sure all the computers, they should belong to the same network. Instead of 192.168.1, if you give 192.168.2 or 192.168.3 or 4, now that machine, they will not directly communicate. For connectivity, again, you need to configure the router. Okay. So anyhow, we don't use any router here, but because in local network, we give direct all the communication. Okay. So I'm going to save this scenario. So let's see how we do this practically. Okay. So once you install the operating system, when you log in first time, what is our first step? Now we need to change computer name. Okay. So first of all, how to see computer name? So anybody know how to see computer name? So when you want to see computer name, what we can do? Simply we can go the properties. Just now I have already showed. So you just go the computer properties. This is a graphical method. And here you can see, you can first of all see what operating system running. Apart from that, here even you can see now the name of computer. So right now the name which is available here, Win-Q972C8. So by default, whenever you install operating system, this name was automatically taken by the computer itself. Means this name randomly taken by the machine whenever you install a new operating system. Okay. So this name you cannot able to understand. Okay. Let's say here if I install AD, if I install any services or if I want to use this device on a network remotely, if I want to connect. So for me, it is not possible all the time to remember this kind of name. Okay. So the name should be easily remembered. And how do we change this computer name? So whenever if you want to change this computer name, you have to go change setting. And here we have the option change. Then you can go with this name. So what name shall I give? Okay. So remember, we need to give a name, the name which is actually suitable for the server. Means, okay, suppose if I'm installing, this is my server. If I'm installing Active Directory, based on that, I can use a proper name so that whenever I, on the network, if I want to connect, so by seeing name, you can understand, okay, this is my DHCP server, this is my web server, this is my, Active Directory server, this is my Exchange server. So name we actually use for our identification. Okay. And one more thing you remember, whatever name you give, name does not help our devices to communicate. For communication, we need to give IP address. Okay. So for our understanding, we actually use some kind of proper name. Okay, so don't use your human being name. Don't give a name of this machine like Ravi or Khan or Jack or something. So try to use a name that will be easily understandable. Okay, to change that computer name, you can go and you can use a name here. So what name? So in my case, I'll be using name DC1. Okay, and I'll be showing you like why I'm giving a DC1, why not like Khan or all these things. So this name I'll be using for my main server, that is called DC1. Okay, so you can say okay. Then it will ask you to restart. But right now I don't want to restart. Okay, so until you restart, now that name will not change to DC1. So I'll say restart later. Why? Because I want to show some other thing. Okay. So you can see now when something like will change to DC1 after restarting this computer. Okay. Now instead of that, let's say what about the command? This is a graphical method which is almost easy. Now let's talk about some command. To open command prompt, what you can do? You can press start button, and here you can write CMD. You can go with the search CMD. Okay. Now you can see there is a command prompt. You can click and open. Otherwise, you can even go run. Press start button. Okay. So you can use one shortcut, Windows plus R, you can get run, and here you can write CMD. So Windows plus R, you can get a run option. On the run, you have to write CMD shortcut. Directly you get a command prompt. Okay. Now the first command, we have host name. Host name is a command that we use to see the name of your computer. Like if you want to know what is the actual name of a machine, maybe after changing, or maybe if you want to change. So when you want to see the name of a computer, we have to use the command host name. Host name is a command to check the name of a device. It may be your a client computer, it may be your server computer, it may be any. But how to change this? To change this computer name, we use command netdom rename computer. Then if you know the old name, suppose if you're good in typing, what you can do, by seeing this, you can directly write here. You have to use old name. But if you don't remember old name, then you can use something called localhost. Then slash new name. What the name you want, you can give colon and try to put name DC1, whatever the name you like. Okay, it's very simple command. Netdom space rename computer space localhost space new new name colon DC1. Okay. So it will give you, when you press enter, then automatically it will ask you, so are you sure, like this operation will rename the computer local host to DC1. So do you want to change this computer name? Is asking, are you sure you want to do this, or you just you don't want? Yes or no? So any option. So here, in my case, I'm going to change this computer name. I want to change that. Okay. So graphically we have done. Now this is by command. So once you press yes, now the computer again it says, so your computer need to restart in order to complete the operation. The command successfully completed. That means whatever the command which I have given here, that is successfully completed. Okay. Similarly, how to restart? Graphically, if you want to restart, you can go start menu. You can put, you can have an option here. Directly, you can shut down or restart. The graphical is very simple. Instead of graphically restart or graphically shut down, you can also restart by command line. Okay. So command line we have. So just open command prompt and you use command shut down space -s. If you want to shut down, then you can use this command -s. But I don't want to shut down. I want to restart. For restarting, what I do? I use -r. Okay. So when you press enter, what it will do? It will take at least less than a minute. I mean, it will take 1 minute to restart. Okay. So sometimes like even 1 minute is also very, we cannot wait. I don't want to wait even 1 minute. So the next we can add -t. This is for the timing, and timing we can specify in terms of seconds. Let's say if I put 130, or if I put like 120, that means it will be 2 minutes. So after 2 minutes, my machine is going to restart. But I don't want to wait even 2 minutes. So sometimes, when you try to download some of the applications, so it takes a lot of time to download. And approximately, maybe let's say I'm downloading, and for me it's showing like 1 hour. So even I cannot wait 1 hour on my computer. So what I can do? So even after 1 hour, I cannot come to my computer to restart or shut down. So what I can do? I can put one command. Maybe after 1.5 hours, the machine automatically shut down. So maybe if I'm available, I'm not available. Once I put the command, after certain time, the machine is going to be shut down. So here I'll be giving -t 0. That it means right now the machine is going to be restart. Okay. So the first condition we have seen like how to change the computer name graphically. Then we also done how to restart, how to change the computer name based on a command line. This is the basic part. Now let's see, like once you restart, what we need to do. Similarly, I also have another machine. Simply, I'll go to the properties of computer, and you have to give name. So every computer you have to go and you have to give a proper name. This is our first practical. So after giving name, then I'll try to show you how to configure ICSS. Just go to the properties of computer. So we have a name DC1. So where is our scenario? So this is our scenario. So on the first machine we have given DC1. Now another machine I'll put name here PC2. Another machine I'll go and I'll put PC3. Then after that we try to start giving IP. Okay. So we go according to our scenario. So now you can see this is my Windows 10 and the name of this Windows 10 is desktop something. So I just go here, change settings, and you can graphically change easily. Change. So the name of the computer I'll be giving as PC2. Okay. So and restart. Similarly, I'll go another machine. So here also I'll go the properties of computer. Now you can go change setting. Change. The name of this computer I'll be giving as PC3. Okay, and restart. Okay. Now after giving the name, like after changing the name of computer, now let us understand how to configure IP. So again, I'll come to my first machine. Login. And if you want to know like the name which you change, is that name effect or still we have old name, we can go with the command. No, no need to go BIOS setting. Why you want to go BIOS setting? No. Now we open command prompt. Simply we use command host name. So the name which we already changed is saying the name of this machine is DC1. Okay. Now let's talk about IP address. So how to configure IP address? Okay. The first thing I told you, MAC address is by default available. And to check MAC address, we have a command get MAC. Right? Last time I already told you. Okay. So MAC address is a 48-bit hexadecimal, and that MAC address is by default available to every device. So this is not our responsibility to go every device to configure MAC address. Okay. So this is the MAC address. Okay. But remember, according to MAC address, the machine they are not going to understand, the machine they are not going to communicate. We need to configure the IP address. Okay. So to configure IP address, we have multiple methods. Okay. So first, I'll try to show you some lengthy method, then we'll go with the shortcut method. Okay. So the first method to configure IP, you can open your control panel. Okay. So you can open start button, and when you on the start menu, there is a tile here, control panel. You just click it. So this is our control panel. Control panel, we have multiple options, but we need to select one option which is related to our network setting. So here you can see we have one option, network and internet. So if you go with control panel, you have to select network and internet. Can you see this option? Network and internet option. Then you have to go with the option network and sharing center. Then you have to select the option change adapter settings. This is one lengthy method. So here we have an option change desktop, change adapter settings. Then you get a screen for your network connection. So from here we can able to configure IP address. Okay. So here you can right click and you can able to configure the IP address. Now instead of that, so one more time you'll see you have to open control panel. Control panel, we have option network and internet, then network and sharing center. Then we go with the option network and internet, then network and sharing center. Then we select change adapter settings. Change adapter setting you can configure. So this is one lengthy method. The next method we are going to see, instead of going from control panel, you can see your taskbar. On the top of taskbar you have one icon. So this TV icon or monitor icon we represent as a networking icon. The actual name is networking icon, from where you can do all the networking. So you have to right click on this networking icon, and here you can open direct network and sharing center. So you get direct the screen here. You can click change adapter settings. From here you can open direct your network connection. This is your network connection. Now instead of this, again I'll show you one more easy step. Instead of using all these methods, if you remember one command, just go run and use one command ncpa.ctl. Okay? So if I go with this command, so what it will do? It will directly give you the screen for network connection. No need to do anything. So just open. So directly you get a screen network connection shortcut. Okay. So it depends like whatever method you like, you go with it. Okay. Now, as I told you, like last time, we even discussed about NIC, NIC card, or you can say LAN card or Ethernet card. Okay. So LAN card is like a gate of a machine. So how much speed supporting your LAN card? Okay. So whenever you see your LAN card, so this is my Intel R, this is the model, and here you can see the speed for me, it is showing gigabyte. So gigabyte network card. So by default here I can say my LAN card is supporting speed up to 1 GB. This is my 1 GB card, and this is default. So right click and you can go to properties. So when you want to configure IP address in your machine, always it asks you like you want to configure IPv4 IP or IPv6. Okay. So especially for local network, we'll be using IPv4 address. So IPv6 we don't use here. So we go with the IPv4 version and go properties. So select this version IPv4 and select properties. Okay. So one more thing you need to remember, IP address will be given by admin. Okay. So one scenario I'll give you. Let's say we have a network. On the top of network, I have connected some multiple devices. Okay. So who will be giving IP address to all the devices of your network? You have hundreds of devices. You have maybe 2-3 devices. Maybe you have multiple. Okay. So normally, whenever you want to assign IP address, so giving IP address, it is one of the responsibility of admin. Okay. So based on my requirement, based on the condition, administrator maybe can go each and every device manually he can configure IP. Instead of manually, even one more option we have, you can also set up one server here. So this server will responsible for giving IP address automatic. Okay. So the name of the server we represent as a DHCP. So this topic will be having in our MCSE in coming session. Okay. So here you can see the computer is asking you want automatic IP or you want to give IP from your side. Okay. If you have a DHCP in your network, you can go with the option automatically. But right now I don't have a DHCP server. We are creating our new network. So there will be two methods we give IP. One of the methods we call it as static method, as well as dynamic method. Static is one of the IP which is manually given by administrator. Dynamic is one of the address which is actually given by server automatically on a network. Okay. So static we call permanent IP. Dynamic we call a temporary IP. Okay. So when the time comes, we'll try to discuss about DSCP. So as of now, we don't have DSCP. We have to configure a static IP. Okay. To use static IP, we have to select the option use a following IP. What IP you want? According to my scenario, I'll be giving class C IP 192.168.1.1. This is the IP. Okay. Now the next option we also have here. So apart from IP address, we also have an option here, subnet mask. Okay. So subnet mask, it is like one of the number that is specially designed to verify in your IP address, like how many bits are network and how many bits are host. Okay. So if I'm using class A, so class A, we have one network portion, remaining three host portion. So the subnet mask for this, you'll be having like 255.0.0.0. Okay. Similarly, if you are using class C, the class C will be having by default three network portions. Okay. For that, you have to configure the subnet mask, which is a default 255.255.255. This is the default subnet 0. And the last portion is network. Okay. So when you want to configure the next IP, we use these three portions same. The last portion maybe I'll change to 2. I'll use three portions same. Next mission I'll give maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. Up to 254 I can configure IP. Okay. Now if I'm using class A, the subnet mask for the class A will be like this 255.2.0.0.0. Class B subnet mask will be like 255.255.0.0. This is depends on the condition. Okay. Now the next type of address we have default gateway. Now default gateway basically it is one of the address which is used by router. Okay. So if your computer want to communicate to different networks, okay, in that time we can able to configure router in our network, and that router IP we need to configure. And the next type of address we have DNS. So DNS we use maybe after some time I'll try to show you all this configuration. So remember, if you want to make workgroup network, workgroup we just configure only IP address. We don't require router IP. We don't require the DNS and all these things. So by default we can use it. So I just put a subnet mask here. So subnet mask will be like 255.255.255.0. Okay. So when you make workgroup network, just only give IP. You can say okay, then close. Okay. So after giving IP, how we can say like what is the IP which I give? Okay. So whatever IP you have given, to check IP address, use command IP config. Okay. So the IP which I have given, that is 192.168.1.1. This is the IP we have given. Okay. The next command will be using like ping. Okay. So ping stands for a packet internet dropper. So this command basically we use to see connectivity between your devices, whether the destination machine is connected or that the destination machine is available on network or not. We use it. Okay. But right now, if you use only one IP in your machine, so the computer will not be able to communicate. You have to configure IP to all the machines. So after giving IP on the first computer, I'll go another machine, and here also I'll try to configure IP. I go run and write command ncpa.cpl. So I'll go my network card, properties. What's the IP now? So here I'll be giving IP address 192.168.1.2. Subnet mask. Then you can say OK, then close. So here also if you want to check IP address, you can use the command IP config. So the IP of this computer is 192.168.1.2. Similarly, you have to go another machine. You can give IP. So ncpa.cpl. Properties. 192.168.1.3. Subnet mask, you can say okay. Okay. So after giving IP to all the machine, the next step is like to see communication. So I want to know whether PC2 is available or not. Okay. So we use command like ping 192.168.1 dot. Don't give one. One is my IP address. See, the machine where I'm sitting, that is my IP. So I'm not going to see by myself. Okay. So I have to see whether the destination machine is available or not. Okay. So I'm sitting on DC1. So from here, I can check whether PC2 is available, PC3 is available, or from here, I can see whether DC1 is available, PC3 is available. So you cannot see yourself. You can, with the help of your machine, you can able to check connectivity from different computers. Okay. So for that, we use command ping. Okay. So instead of one, we can give two. So when you press enter, you will be having some errors or you may have answer. Okay. So if you are getting a reply, so that means the communication is there. My computer is communicating to the destination machine. But sometimes instead of reply, now I got answer here, request timeout. Okay. So first thing you remember, whenever you install a Windows operating system, by default, Windows firewall will be enabled. And Windows firewall, it will not allow a ping request to come to your computer. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is you have to disable firewall. How to disable firewall? To disable firewall, you can open your network connection, means just open network and sharing center. And here, instead of selecting like change adapter setting, on the below, there is an option here related to Windows firewall. So you have to go here and disable the firewall. So by default, the firewall is enabled. So this firewall does not allow the ping request to come to your machine. So you can see firewall is enabled. You just click and you disable that. Okay. So one more time, if I use the same 192.168.1.2, now this time I'll be getting answer reply. Reply means now the machine is connected, available. Whatever the data which I store means whatever the data which I share here, now that information I can access from there. Similarly, I also have another machine. So this computer also I can disable the firewall, open network and sharing center. We can go to the firewall. Only one time you need to do that. You can turn off. Now, the next I'll be using the second machine. So ping 192.168.1.3. So when you press enter, now the next is showing a reply from 192.168.1.3. Now this machine is also connected on network. Okay. So till now what we have done. Okay. So today we talk about a network which is a work group. So if you want to make work group network, what is the condition here? So when you want to make work group network, we have to connect all the computers physically. You have to give a proper name. You have to give proper IP. So by default, this network we represent as a work group. In work group, we don't have any concept of AD. We don't require DNS. We don't require any special application. We don't require anything. This is just only for a basic network. Either we use to access the data, either you can able to access the printer. That is the only reason we make a work group for a small company. Okay. Now the next practical which we are going to see, we have something called domain. So when you want to make a domain network, if you want to make a corporate network or company network, there will be two main conditions. The first condition, you have to configure Active Directory, and the next condition, what you need, you have to install, you have to make the computer as a client. Okay, that means if this network, if you want to make a network, so what I have to do, so here I have to install Active Directory. And this computer I can make as a client so that I can able to create a corporate network. In corporate network, with the help of these servers, we can able to control the network. Okay. Whereas in work group, you cannot have any controlling. Whatever the machine that you connect in work group does not allow you to have any controlling. So whenever if you want to perform any task, you have to do each and every machine on that particular device. Okay. So today, we actually started our first practical, and in detail from the starting, I'm showing here. So if you have any question or if you have any doubt, ask me. So tomorrow, I'm going to show you the next practical, which is also very, very important. So tomorrow, I'll be showing like how to configure AD and how to configure client. So basically, right now, I'm going very slow. Maybe after some time, we may go a little bit fast. Okay. So why? Because if I go fast here, maybe you cannot able to understand certain practical. Okay. So maybe hope you understand all these practical. So if you have any question, you can ask me.